I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey, you guys, and welcome back to the News du Jour, a calmer space to consume the news. Happy Friday. I am recording this with a glass of wine. I have had such a week with my child home from daycare and sick the entire week, multiple different trips to medical facilities. I am just completely wiped. And I have to tell you guys here at the top that while this episode is on the longer side, we have a lot to go over. Some of it changed during the day. There were a couple stories that actually got kind of updated from the way that I had originally written them. So we're going to be free-forming it a little bit today. Not a lot, but there's just some things I need to update in what I had written earlier this morning. So anywho, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into the news. So first up, as a mini story, this is one of the ones that changed. A judge ruled against Trump, saying that he cannot bar Mike Pence from testifying to the January 6th grand jury. This was bad news for both Trump and Pence because, as we've discussed, Pence is not thrilled to have to hop up onto the witness stand and get grilled about the events of January 6th for two different reasons. One, because, his very life was in danger that day, and thinking back to that event is probably really difficult. But also because if he's planning to continue with his political career, which it looks like he is, all of this is going to be on record, and it may dig up some sort of uncomfortable dirt about his past relations with President Trump. His testimony could come as early as this week. Psych! It came yesterday. Thursday. So on Thursday, he was actually called to testify. I heard that it was quite long, but I could not get any specifics as of yet on exactly what was asked of him. And I don't know if we're going to get specifics. I need to dig my teeth into that a little bit, and I'll keep you guys posted on Monday whether or not we get that information. We'll definitely let you guys know because obviously it's important and potentially related to this upcoming presidential election. For our second mini story, as more information comes to light about the Air National Guardsmen who posted all of those classified documents online, it's become more and more obvious what type of a character he was, you guys. And it's kind of seems like it might have been good that he was stopped before he could do physical harm to anyone. He had been described as having a troubling history of threatening violence and voicing racist worldviews online. We also found out that he had spewed sensitive information much more far and wide than previously known. So it's clear that he dug his own grave here, and he had to know this was coming, and he will definitely pay the price. And then lastly, for our mini stories today, at the conclusion of the South Korean visit to the White House, President Biden put out a statement saying that he believes it would be the end of the North Korean regime should they strike their South Korean neighbors. So that is some strong language coming out of the White House. And, it seems warranted because it seems that things are just escalating and escalating with North Korea. And obviously, the U.S. has the capabilities to defend itself. So the U.S. plans to protect South Korea in that same fashion. And so they're not going to need an arsenal of their own. But it's hard to feel bad for North Korea. They've truly dug their own grave, just like the Air National Guardsmen. And speaking of digging your own grave, Tucker Carlson sounds like he really did the same. So new information is coming to light, according to recent reports, that there were these text messages that surfaced from Tucker Carlson that really put the nail in his coffin. And apparently these texts surfaced the night before the Dominion trial. And they were so damning that Fox News knew they had to settle. Now, I did not see the contents of these text messages, and this is also something that I'm looking for. I'm not sure if they actually exist anywhere, but this is just kind of heating up what all is going on because, like we reported yesterday, Tucker Carlson has hired an attorney. So it seems that he at least somewhat thinks he was wrongfully terminated. Otherwise, why would he be looking to hire an attorney? He also posted a video to his Twitter that was fascinating, if you want to put it that way. He said after having some time off, he has all this new perspective on the news industry when it's been about like 2 days maybe since he was fired and then posted that video. It's interesting how he could be such a big part of that industry and then all of a sudden 2 days later is condemning it outright. I think this is a little convenient, but I'll let you guys draw your own conclusions. I'll go ahead and link his video and you guys can decide what you think for yourselves. But it almost seems that by the nature of these text messages and the way that people are talking about them, it sounds like he kind of felt he was untouchable and he could kind of say and do what he pleased because it's clear that he put all of this into writing, text messages, emails, and maybe he still feels that he's untouchable and that's why he's filming these little videos when he might be going to court soon. It seems, counterproductive for him, but anywho, the Smartmatic case is also still looming, and apparently these new text messages that just came out are relevant to those proceedings as well, which is just mind-blowing. So we're going to have to see how that case plays out and if they're going to look to settle as well. I would imagine they'd have to, given that they were willing to settle to keep these text messages from going out once. I would assume they would do so again. It'll be interesting to see how much they will pay in order to keep those text messages private. It seems that Tucker was just too much of a liability in the end. I also saw a funny comment that I thought I would tell you guys about. It's funny how this has turned into the same story, but Don Lemon was asked by a reporter what his future plans are or something along those lines, and he said, a beach. My future plans are a beach. So that had me cracking up. It sounds like from that comment that his plans are legal action and vacationing, not pursuing any work right now, which is an interesting move. And we'll have to wait and see if he ever decides to go back to the news media industry. We'll keep you guys posted. And for our next story today, I do have to issue a content warning here. This story involves rape. So Jing Carroll's rape trial is continuing, and she actually took the stand in her own rape case, and that is an incredibly brave thing for anyone to do. She told the story that unfortunately she's had to tell over and over again, but in this telling, she was compelled to spare no detail, and she explained how this encounter ended her love life forever. She was so understandably traumatized by this alleged rape at the hands of President Trump that she stopped dating entirely and has lived a life alone. In this case, she is seeking damages for battery, which would be the rape itself, and defamation based on the president's words denying the encounter and painting her as insane or a con woman. When her attorney asked her, quote, "Why are you here today?" end quote, she replied, quote, "I am here because Donald Trump raped me, and when I wrote about it, he said it didn't happen. He lied and shattered my reputation, and I'm here trying to get my life back," end quote. It definitely seemed that she was glad for the chance to be able to tell her story in a court of law. She testified in court that she has not had sex since he raped her, that she simply could not bring herself to. President Trump has yet to appear in court for this case, and it remains to be seen whether or not he plans to take the stand. Between his campaign appearances, running his business, and juggling several other high-profile court cases, I would imagine he's pretty busy. But he has been finding the time to post about the case on Truth Social. He has called the case a, quote, hoax and a lie, end quote, and, quote, a made-up scam, in all caps, end quote. But the judge in this case has made it very clear to the President Trump team that he has the potential to be held in contempt of court if the former president continues to try to sway public opinion by posting about the case on Truth Social. For a little bit more context and background on Jean Carroll, she was actually a career writer for many years with a very regular column in Elle magazine. She went on to write skits for SNL, which won her an Emmy for outstanding writing in 1987. She has also written for The Atlantic, Vanity Fair, Esquire, and New York Magazine. We'll definitely keep you guys posted as this trial continues. And next up for today, looks like we're probably going to go over in time, you guys. Anywho, but next up, Jing Ping and Zelensky hop on the phone. Casual. So this is obviously a really positive sign, or at least I feel that it is for the most part. China is likely Russia's closest ally, except maybe Iran. But China is stronger, and it would be great if they were focused on fostering peace rather than backing up Russia blindly. And it has been said that the words were, quote, carefully chosen, end quote, on this call, granted through a translator. And the call lasted about an hour, but it is the first known contact between these two leaders. Zelensky referred to the call as a, quote, meaningful one, end quote, but it's hard to say if much was really accomplished. It's hard to understand what Xi Jinping's intentions might be here. On the one hand, he seems to be really enjoying this role as a global diplomat, trying to broker peace relations worldwide. He's trying to help reestablish a relationship right now between Iran and Saudi Arabia, who have been kind of hostile. And he's also been hosting the French president, Emmanuel Macron, in China, who's also kind of on this global kumbaya kick right now. He even laid out a freaking 12-point plan on how Ukraine and Russia could end the war. Although experts have called it vague, maybe he's looking to step up as a global leader. But maybe he's being sneaky and trying to act like he's everybody's friend, when in reality, he's doing work on behalf of his buddy, Vladimir Putin. It's really hard to say. But as long as China is not committing wholeheartedly to back up Russia, that's a good thing for global peace, y'all. So let's hope they're sincere, but let's not get our hopes up. And lastly for today, the Pope gives women a vote. So for many, this will be way too little, way too late. And yet, for an institution that is so incredibly resistant to change, this Pope is making big moves. Women have been asking for leadership roles within the church for, probably since its inception, if we're being real. But we still do not have anything beyond the nunnery or an altar girl. They are neglecting an incredible asset that has been waiting in the wings for centuries. As we well know, women played a huge role in Christ's life, and one could make an argument that leadership roles were taken on with Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene alongside Jesus, even as he marched to his death. Followers of Christ certainly look to them as leaders, but only today do we see Pope Francis giving women the right to vote within the church. It's considered an incredibly progressive move, but as we can all see, it's far from equality and far from realistic given how we are coming to understand gender roles. Just one of the many ways in which women continue to be discriminated against, but I'll take progress wherever I can get it in the Catholic Church, and maybe the next pope will bring us a little closer to true equality. As a practicing Catholic, I definitely see the church's hierarchy as a product of mankind's flawed nature, as it is incredibly flawed and in need of further change. And that is the news du jour. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step towards that goal requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. It requires the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals." If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use to listen. A rate and review or shout out on social media would mean the world to us and help us be able to keep creating the news du jour. But the best way to support all of our work is to become a patron at www.patreon.com/sugarfree media. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram and just sugarfree media, all one word, on TikTok. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour.
Broadcasting from Oklahoma.